Hey guys, how's it going? This is the Pyro Gunner, and I feel like I need to. It's not something that I just want to do, but I need to make this video to clear up everything with how I have done reviews in the past, and how I am doing them now, and what is still considered valid with my older reviews and stuff, because a lot has changed since I started. Yeah, and it's kind of a crazy mess, and I plan on doing more reviews now, because I won't be doing as many Let's Plays, which have taken up most of the videos that I've done in the past. Oh, hey Kat, she's meowing. She's trying to say some of this commentary with me. But yeah, as I move into starting to do more reviews than usual, I need to clear up everything with the reviews that I've done in the past, just to make sure that you guys know what's going on, because the way that I've changed things since I started is probably really confusing, and I just want to set things totally straight. So this video isn't really a video to explain to people who are new to my reviews, to tell them how I do it, because how I do it now is pretty straightforward, but basically just a history of how I have done reviews. For the first few reviews that I did, I had this system where I used 4 categories, which I believe they were something along the lines of story, environment, gameplay, and fun. Yes, that was it. Except for my Battlefield 3 one, I did slightly different categories because it didn't really fit well with that game. And then at the end of those reviews, I would rate the game on a scale of 1 to 10, which I feel like I did not like the scale of 1 to 10 at all after a few months of doing it. I just realized that, that's just too exact of a thing. And maybe in my mind something kind of changes to where I'm like, actually, I did kind of like that more. Or actually, maybe not quite as much. And then that would change it. And me giving those scores to games would basically get messed up, because maybe some game I would give an 8.5. And then I would give some other game that I didn't actually like as much as it an 8.6 or something like that. And I didn't want to confuse people with that, and I also thought the thing with the 4 categories, what was I thinking? Yeah, I really don't think that was a very good idea, at all, now that I go back to think about it. Also, I calculated the scores by averaging out things in the different categories. That's just not very good. So then I switched to doing a different scoring system where I didn't do categories at all. I just talked about the most important thing to talk about in each game, and then I would give it a score. Out of 6 different scores, I had rubbish, bad, okay, good, great, and fantastic, which that's better because it's not as exact as the scale of 1 to 10 thing. But I just ended up realizing, from the few, actually more 6 months that I was using that system, that I really didn't like scoring games altogether, and there are a few reasons that go into that. One is I feel like when I give score to games, or when I'm watching somebody else's review where they score games, sometimes I feel like I'm only watching that review to know what the score is, and then if I'm doing that, it doesn't matter really why that score was given. And I feel like I should make reviews to where I don't have to say a score to where you can tell how good a game is and whether or not you would like to play it. And I really do just like talking about a game without having the score. It feels slightly more casual in a way, and I like that I don't feel like just another critic website like IGN or whatever. But what I started doing with my reviews more and more in the period where I didn't have scores is I feel like the reviews, although they didn't have scores, other than that, they got more official and more non-casual, I'd say, or sort of just less fun reviews. And speaking of fun, one other problem that I did have with the rating system that involved Fantastic as the best rating is something that I just realized mostly while I was playing The Last of Us. Was that game is a game that with that rating system I would give the Fantastic rating to, but The Last of Us isn't a fun game to play. It's an enjoyable game, but it's not really a fun game for the most part. There's certain points that are fun, but it's not fun in the sense of, oh yay, I'm killing infected people. Oh my gosh, I'm killing these other people that are trying to hurt us. Yay. Yeah, not that sort of fun, but there are certain fun moments that I don't want to spoil for you in that game. But also, that's sort of flawed to say fantastic when just because a game is very enjoyable and very good, it doesn't mean it's fun. Like, it could be fun in the way that you liked it a lot and you thought it was very well done and it made you feel emotions and stuff, but that's not like fun. So anyways, back onto the topic of my recent reviews, which this is most apparent in my reviews of Blacklight Retribution, Sound Shapes, and Infamous First Light. The reviews feel very, like, criticky, sort of like IGN or GameSpot or something, I guess, like, some sort of a game journalism website, sort of just super, like, official seeming thing that's just super serious, and kind of seemed to take the fun out of it in a way. So, what I am doing now, which I really wouldn't say that this is a major change to what I've been doing. So, that's why this video isn't really about changes to my systems and stuff. It's just stating why I think my previous systems were flawed, and then once I talk about what I'm about to talk about, I will talk about each individual review and just some comments that I have to make about each one. So, what I am going to be pushing for in my next reviews is making it seem more casual, just sitting down, talking about games, still talking about them in a very analytical way, I guess, doing some good analysis, and very thoughtful, but very much like a casual, like I'm just sitting down and talking about the game with you like a friend or something. So, not like a bad review, but what I think is the best way for me to do a review with the way I've set up my channel and stuff, because I don't want my reviews to just feel like an IGN review just without the score or something. And I feel like over time, as I've modified the way that I do reviews, this seems like the best way, and I probably won't change it at all from this point. I say that now, I might change it some, but not that much. Like, this change right now, just going from how I did the First Light review to how I'll do my next review, which will be the Shadow of Mordor review, it's not a major change. But yeah, I feel like I'm really finding something that works well with reviews, and that's what I am going to do. But now to go back and talk about each review and talk about how I feel if some reviews need to be redone and stuff because it wasn't done good enough or something. Okay, so first we are going to talk about my Infamous 1 and 2 reviews. Those were done back on the like 1 to 10 scale system, and after thinking about it with those reviews, I feel like I could do a much better job than I did the first time. So I am going to redo those reviews sometime. Probably, what I'm thinking of right now, just so that it's been a while since I played them last, just to feel a little bit of nostalgia and stuff, although I feel nostalgia pretty much every time I play the first Infamous game, because it was one of the first games that I really just fell in love with. But yeah, anyways, right now I am thinking I am going to redo my reviews for those games in summer of 2016. Yeah, so sorry if you guys wanted that earlier, but I just want to give it some time, you know? And yeah, that's going to be more than a year away, but I think it might be fun to say, hey, this is kind of far away, but it's there and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to have fun going back to these games, kind of. You'll see how my reviews will be different from the originals, which, by the way, I have made the original videos unlisted, which that is a privacy setting for YouTube videos. If you don't know what that means kind of like it is in between being public and private, and what it actually is you cannot find the video and watch it unless you have a link to it, and I will provide links in the description to all of the review things that I mentioned in this video. So yeah, that's with the Infamous 1 and 2 reviews, what I will say about that. Okay, now for the Battlefield 3 review, which was on the 1 to 10 scale system. So here is what I will say about that review. So I feel like this review is majorly flawed quite a bit, but I'm not going to redo it because I don't feel like doing a review of that game is super important for my channel. And here is my major flaw with my review of that, is that game is not as good as I said. I do not agree that it's as good as I said in that review anymore. And I feel like when Battlefield 3 is at its peak of how fun it can be, then yeah, it's as good as I said, but I feel like rarely from my experience it didn't get to its peak all the time really, and I still think it's a very good game, but just not nearly to the level of what I said. And I feel like why I might have said that it was so good was because I felt biased towards it because I had recently quit playing the Call of Duty games, and I was kind of in a stage of hating Call of Duty, and something that I have tried to do with my reviews is not be biased towards something just because I like something else or hate something else. And I really do feel like I messed up big on that one, but as I said, not going to redo it. Okay, now for my Uncharted 2 and the first and third games. I don't know why I said Uncharted 2 first, but all of the 3 Uncharted games that are currently out. And that doesn't count the Vita ones, just the main games. So those games I did on the 1 to 10 scale thingy, and I still agree with what I said about those games completely, like with my criticism of those games, but I do think that Uncharted 1 is better than Uncharted 3, and the order from like worst to best is 3, 1, 2, I think, and that's just something that was a little bit different in my reviews of those that I said. But really, like, what I said about the games, I totally agree with all of it. Like, with Uncharted 3's major flaw being, well, there was kind of a bunch of them that kind of messed up the story, but it's still a very fun game. The story still has the fun, great Uncharted atmosphere to it, and it's still a very good game, so, yeah, there's that. Okay, now onto the reviews that I did with the, like, other scoring system. You know what I mean. Also, just to say this, now that I have stopped using both of those systems, all of the scores that I previously gave to games where I did reviews with scores, those scores are now considered invalid, so they don't matter at all. All that matters is what I say on the game, like with criticism and stuff. Obviously, unless I correct that in this video. Okay, so with the Resogun review, I think that is a good review, and it's exactly the same thing that I would say today. It's right on. For contrast, that review, also very good. Okay, now for Flower. Here's what I think about Flower. Every time that I have played that game since I reviewed it, that game has felt better and better to me. And I think, like, Flower does such a good job of telling an emotional story that, in a way, really isn't a story, without even having a single character. It's just with music and the graphics and the gameplay. It does all of these emotional delivery to your brain without having, like, any characters or speaking at all. And I do think that it teaches a good message, and for some reason, when I did the review, I sort of felt like I was shoving it down your throat, like, oh, humans are messing up nature with all of our cities. We're such bad people. We need to stop. But really, now that I think about it, it's not really like that. It's not really shoving it down your throat like that. And really what it's showing is that we can build our things but have nature coexist with it, kind of. Which, yeah, that kind of spoils that game, but it's only like a 4-hour-long game, and it's a pretty simple game anyways, and it's not really like a huge spoiler. But yeah, I definitely think that game has a good message with it. I'd still say the major problem with it, even though I think it is drastically better than I said in my review of it, is that the gameplay and just going through the, like, glowing flowers and making things bloom and stuff, it's not that it's a bad gameplay, it just gets boring very quick. Like, if you play more than, like, 2 levels at a time, like, that, I just can't, because I just get bored of it. But yeah, Flower, much better than I said. Portal 2, for that review, I agree with it. I think I could have done better at reviewing that game, but I'm not going to redo it. It's fine. There's a small chance I might redo it if I just feel like going back to the Portal 2, well, I haven't even done the Portal 1 review yet, which I'll do that sometime. It's on my list. But if I want to redo the Portal 2 one after I do my Portal 1 review, then I might, but I probably won't, because it's just not really necessary. And then the Battlefield 4 review, I totally agree that I did a good job on that. Still holds up. Okay, so that was the section of reviews where I used, like, the second scoring system with the Funtastic and that stuff. So now moving on to the ones without scores. Second Son, Arkham Asylum, I totally agree with those. I feel like I could have done the Second Son one better, even though I think it's one of my best reviews. I think the points I said were good, but it just feels kind of clunky and mashed together, kind of. and not really the way that I'd want to do reviews in the future, but that's fine. And then Blacklight, Retribution, Sound Shapes, and First Light. Yeah, those ones were too formal. That is a very good word for it, and I already talked about that. So yeah, hopefully you guys like the direction that my reviews are going, and hopefully you understand my corrections or non-corrections to my past reviews. And yeah, I'm learning. Obviously, I've been doing reviews for like 1.5 years now. I've been doing YouTube as a whole for like 2.5-ish years now. That's kind of close. It's more than 2.5 actually. But yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope that cleared up all of your confusion, and have a great day.